look at New Orleans, they actually have assets. Like if they want to go and get serious with an OG Anunoby or a Pascal Siakam, they've got all their picks. They've got the Lakers picks. That's why when they made, they're one of the teams that did call the Nets about Kevin Durant. They just didn't offer fully Zion Williamson or Brandon Ingram. But they have all the picks in the world. They've got young players. So theoretically, this is a team that has what it takes to get a guy like that, yes. When you look at New Orleans,
the fourth easiest schedule the rest of the way belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans. That's one of the big takeaways I've had from the first half is just how bright the New Orleans Pelicans future is. Their present is a little bit complicated because, Brandon Ingram's foot injury is really dragging. We've seen this before with toe injuries. And they just can't be I mean, they've done really well to be third in the West, considering the amount of games that Ingram has missed, and now Zion with the hamstring out. But they've had other guys who've been banged up too. CJ McCollum was in, he's really rounded into form at 38 points in their game on Wednesday night. But he was slumping. My point is they haven't even hit their best. But when you watch them and you see how Zion has rounded into really more like the player that we all thought we would see when he was drafted, been way more impactful on the defensive end than he was when we've seen earlier in his career, continues to be a dominating force on offense. I have a huge high opinion of Brandon Ingram. And you look at the way some of their younger players have been developing, not just, Herb Jones, but also Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall, Dyson Daniels, their lottery pick rookie. And then you think about how they have the Lakers first round pick and swap. Now the Lakers have done a much better job, after that awful first month, and their pick isn't looking as rosy, but there's still a really good chance it's going to be in the lottery. And so that means they're facing potentially back-to-back years of being a playoff team themselves while being able to draft in the lottery, the fruits of the Anthony Davis trade. And if you look where they're at, they have a bunch of trade assets that they can put together. I mean, you look at Devontae Graham, you look at Garrett Temple, you look at Jackson Hayes. They can assemble salary together and use potentially some of their draft assets to upgrade this roster if they want, whether it's by February or if it's in the summer. And the contracts that they have signed, the contract that they gave Devontae Graham is not looking so good. Okay. And it's been mitigated by the fact that Jose Alvarado has been a complete steal. And then the contract they signed him to after they found him as a diamond in the rough has also benefited them. And, but the contracts that they have are all reasonable contracts. You might take issue with the CJ McCollum extension and say, boy, I don't know how that's going to look in two and a half or so years, but that contract actually descends in value. So, they've done a pretty good job of putting themselves in position, not only to be a contender this year, but to really be able to upgrade their roster, whether it's through the draft or through trade. And their young guys have continued seriously to get better. I don't know what Pelton and Bobby Marks, do you do the future power rankings too? Bontemps, are you involved in the future power rankings? Okay. How do you guys have a formula that you weight when you when you judge those rankings?
Yes. You mean, I mean, there's a formula for each category in terms of how much it's weighted. Yes. I don't remember exactly what the weightings are across the board.
I got to feel like New Orleans, if we did one right now, New Orleans would rank pretty high. Where they're at.
Maybe number one. I mean,
yeah,
obviously everything depends on Zion's ability to maintain conditioning, stay healthy long term. But dude, you just listed a long list of guys who are developing good complementary fits, and their stars are 25 and 22. Their two best players are 25 and 22, and Zion has a chance to be a perennial, at least MVP in the conversation. He's got a chance to be a top 10 player for a long time. Well, I don't know for a long time, for a window here.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever,
it's all
6 years, whatever it
qualified
is.
with his health. We whatever you want to say, Zion, just assume that it's all qualified with his health.
New Orleans
Right.
was 11th in October in our last round of the power rankings.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
behind Phoenix, behind Denver, behind Toronto, behind Miami, behind Philly. Might be
Okay,
ahead.
this
I
is
mean,
what
maybe I
happens
would have
when you
thought
put,
that
like,
was a
you put,
little.
like no, you got Einstein and like Sir Isaac Newton, and then
Now
you
remember
got
what
like
you were told by your wife.
Bozo the
Remember what you were
Clown in the
told.
group.
He remembered.
Whoa, what?
Like, I would have thought that was maybe a tad low, but I wouldn't have like taken major issue with it. I mean, what about now, Bontemps? What do you think about where they're at now? I mean, I'm not telling you to do the formula.
I
off the top
mean,
of your head,
they're probably going to move up. I would say they'd move up a decent amount. I mean, they were 10th in players and tied for 15th in management. Those are probably both going to go up in the next round of voting. I would
also
guess.
think Willie Green's proven that he's a really good coach.
That's part of the management grade, right? Like, he's done a really good job. Like, that's going to go up higher. Their player grade probably goes up higher, so they move up a few spots. And some of the teams above them, teams like Toronto, Phoenix, Miami that have disappointed, they're going to slide back the other way a little bit.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports here. It's about that time, January 17th. Let's get right into it. Woke up this morning and got a bunch of messages. So I was like, what the hell? So I read them, and Shams pretty much just went on a tirade, right? He went, this guy's going to get traded, that guy's going to get traded, this guy's going to get traded. Then all of a sudden, I check out Scoop, right? He's saying the same thing, but what struck me was one team. And that team is the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, they have a bright future. Everyone in the world knows that now, right? I've been preaching that for 3-4 months, maybe even longer than that. I don't know. I don't keep track, obviously. But the deal here is Toronto Raptors are looking to take offers, because the thing is, they're 4 games below 500. They're in the I don't think they're in the play-in tournament right now. But what they are is Gary Trent Jr. is up for a UFA. Fred VanVleet is doing the same thing. About a month and a half ago, I said the Raptors need to trade Pascal Siakam. I got a lot of heat on that because, everybody said, why the hell would we trade our best player? I'll tell you why. Because it's not working out in Toronto. Everyone knows that. I called that a couple months ago. I said, you guys need to trade this guy. You'd get a lot in return for Pascal Siakam. Or you need to trade Fred VanVleet, because there is a contract extension rift right there. And Gary Trent Jr. is pretty much a legit shooter, and he's looking to get paid. And I don't think the Toronto Raptors can pay them. Well, actually they can, but why pay them when they're below 500? And it just makes sense to, start a possible rebuild. I'm not 100% sure, but they are in the sweepstakes for Victor Wembanyama. I think I'm getting there. I'm getting close to it. I'm getting close to pronouncing it correct. But the Pelicans are one of the top teams that might get OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent Jr., or 2 out of the 3, right? I doubt they're going to get 3 out of 3, but you never know, right? But I highly doubt it. But what I'm saying to you guys is this. The Pelicans have assets. Pelicans can trade. They have a lot of picks. They have the Lakers pick. The Lakers are currently out of the play-in tournament. There is a possible chance that they will end up in the lottery. I'm not 100% sure. But the bottom line is the Pelicans, if they pull this off, you're looking at the Pelicans possibly making the conference finals, if not the finals, because I know a lot of people think I'm crazy, and think what you guys want to think, right? I called it that the Pelicans were legit before the season started. Now you have Zion, who's injured, right? He's going to get evaluated in a week. Apparently, what I'm told is it was I wouldn't say severe, but it was a pretty bad strain on his hamstring. He's going to get reevaluated in a week. I don't think he's going to be ready in terms of the All-Star game, but you never know, right? Also, you have Brandon Ingram out with a toe injury, and that sometimes takes a little bit longer. I'm sure he's dying to come back, but not right now, right? You have all these young assets. Now, if you package some of those assets and a lot of those picks, especially from the Lakers, a lot of those picks into something that, I'm thinking Pascal Siakam, you have to realize that if you get that, you're going straight to the conference finals, if not the finals. So, tell me what you guys think. Leave a comment in the comment section. If they pull this off, 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 players that I just listed off, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, one of those 4, right? Or 2 of those 4 or whatever, but I don't know, right? If they get that, are the Pelicans going to the finals or if the conference finals? Leave a comment in the comment section. This is Jag from Jaggy Sports.